Hey y'all, and welcome back to another video with Life with Chess for Beyond the Gates, May 9th, 2025. Okay, so first things first, let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. Look, they showed a preview at the end of the episode and look like it's Leslie, aka Dana, finna get ready to set Eva up. I said, Kat got it all wrong once again. Once again, she got it all wrong. She questioning the crazy lady, asking if it's true that Eva is the one who ran Laura off the road. I see you got it wrong. I see you got it wrong. You talking to the crazy lady right there. And I told you, I said she more upset. She's mad at her daughter for betraying her. They show her on next week's episode talking about some you chose the parent you wanted and stuff like that. And I said, how you gonna get mad? You claim this is what you wanted, right? Nah, you wanted Ted to come to you. This what she really wanted. But okay, on today's episode, let me make sure it's not on mute. Yeah, on today's episode, we're gonna start with Naomi, June, Jacob. What's his name? It's Jacob. Why I put an I? Hold on, let me scratch it out. His name is Jacob. Somebody said Jacoby. But yeah, on today's episode, they showed them they was trying to find June a place to stay, and I still haven't figured out what she play on, but she play on something. I don't know what it is. At first, I thought the game, but no, it's got to be something. I recognize her face. But yeah, they was trying to find June a place to stay. So Naomi ends up getting in contact with Martin, and Martin sets her up at the same hotel that Ted is at. She ends up leaving the hotel. Jacob ends up getting a call. So him and Derek end up going to, I forgot to write Derek and Ashley name down. They don't be talking about nothing anyways. Let me write that down. Derek, Ashley. Yeah, because Derek and Ashley end up meeting Naomi there. Naomi and Jacob there. Hold on. Okay, Ashley. So Jacoby, I call him Jacoby again. Who named Jacoby? Well, Jacob had Derek come with him, and they ended up finding her. They brought her back, and she said that she likes staying under the bridge. That's what she gonna remain at. I want to know if she's gonna play a major part later, or is she just a guest star? And don't they call them guest star or making a guest appearance or something like that? But yeah, I'm ready to see more of her storyline. That's all that happened with them. Anita, Vernon, Nicole. Anita and Vernon was just supporting Nicole. She ended up blaming herself, and that's when Anita and Vernon was telling her it's not her fault. And they was talking about how they wanted to hold Ted accountable and stuff like that. Well, they said they wanted to beat him up technically. Then Danny, I wrote down, I said, Danny just was looking for an excuse to be in Bill's face. Then he over here lying to Haley. He said he was done with the Duprees. Why he called Smitty? Why did he call Smitty? But we're gonna get to that part in a minute. But yeah, I already covered Anita, Vernon, Nicole, Bill, Danny. Let me put Haley in quotation. Let me write down Haley. With Bill and Danny, she was confronting him about how he betrayed her family and why didn't he come to you? I said, why would he come to you about Ted cheating when he didn't come to you about him cheating? Well, you find out anyways, but you still chose to stay or whatever. But yeah, I said she just wanted to be in his face. Did y'all see the look on Vernon and Anita's face? How they keep exchanging glances or whatever when she said she went over to Bill because she wanted to give him a piece of her mind? I said, yeah, you wanted to give him a piece, all right. It looked like they finally finna find out about Andre and Danny. But yeah, I said I hope she don't get her hopes up. It looked like it because she was saying something about having him in her life or her bed or whatever way she said it. And I said, girl, he don't want you. He want Ashley. But yeah, like I said, Danny was confronting Bill. She asked, what else has he done? What else has Bill done to fix for her family? And that's when I wrote down Danny just want to be in Bill's face. She ends up telling him to stay out of her family business. And he was like, gladly. He's like, I left you for a reason or whatever. And then Haley popped out after she left. She popped out and she was like, so I hope you mean what you said, that you done with the family, the Dupree family. I said she didn't make up her mind too. She didn't make up her mind too. And then before she came out, it looked like he was teared out. At first, I thought he was gonna get sick because we haven't seen him with the shakes lately. We haven't seen him. I don't think that's what it's called, but we haven't seen him shaking or whatever he was doing when he was sick or whatever. We haven't seen that because I want to see her reaction. But yeah, he seemed upset when before Haley came out. He seemed upset about his discussion or argument with Danny. But then she came out and she was talking about, being done with the Prees, and he told her, yeah, I'm gonna be done. That's it. Aside from Chelsea and Naomi, I'm done with them. Next thing you know, he don't call the text, what's his name? Martin husband, Smitty. Don't call to text him or whatever. And he said, what did he say when he went over there? He said something about he wanted to be friends, or, I may need a favor, you may need a favor, or whatever, trying to be buddy buddy with him. Then he brings up Martin. And I said, did you tell your wife you was done? Then he was like, he told Smitty to remind his husband that they on the same team. And he's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, he'll know. And I said, see, that's why you can't have people covering up for your telling them your secrets and stuff like that. I said, why is he so desperate to stay connected? I said, I said, why is Bill so desperate to stay connected? Do he really think he gonna be nothing without them, or is it more to the story? But yeah, he don't sit up here and told his wife he was done with the Duprees, and he don't call him, and he's talking about some remind your husband, that we on the same team or whatever. And I said, dude, I said, what's really going on? Who else we got? Smitty, Martin, Kat. She finally seen. I'm so glad she seen it, but it looked like she still ain't gonna see it for what it is. She seen Kat ended up seeing what's his name? Tomas and Eva holding hands. Well, they weren't holding hands, but he had his hand on hers. Then she ended up grabbing his hand, but you could tell. And she ran off. But yeah, Smitty and Martin was still talking about the same thing. Smitty ends up revealing to Martin that where his daddy is, and he was upset because they told him that Vernon told him not to tell him. So he ends up leaving, and he went to Ted Hotel to confront him. But yeah, Kat came and she asked what was going on. They ended up talking about everything that went down. What else did they talk about? Hold on. I think she ended up telling him she was meeting with somebody, and that's when Tomas came, but she said she had to go and she'll be right back. Then in walked Eva. I said, oh my goodness. They had said it was something supposed to happen. That Kat supposed to be seeing an intimate moment between somebody. It was between Tomas and Eva. I was like, girl, let it go. I hope she don't fall for it and sleep with this man. I said, do y'all think she gonna sleep with him? I feel like she gonna sleep with him. But excuse me, hold on. But yeah, Ted and Andre, they was talking about everything that happened with Nicole and stuff like that. And this fool don't sit up here. He don't went told Nicole. Well, she was bound to find out anyway. But he don't went told on himself. He don't went told that he knew. He was like, I wish I would have told you in time. I thought he was gonna say Ted wanted to tell you, but I told him not to. But yeah, Ted and Andre was just talking about everything that happened with Nicole. Then he went over there. He wanted to talk on Ted's behalf or whatever. That's when he slipped up. And told on himself. And she was like, okay, it's not your fault or whatever. I think, what's her name? Her best friend, Vanessa. Well, I thought her name was Jessica. Wasn't somebody named Jessica on here? I don't know. But yeah, Vanessa ends up coming. She was supporting her or whatever, hugging her. And they was talking about Ted and stuff like that. And she said something about she used to wish for a husband or a love like what her and Ted shared. And I said, I don't think he's supposed to be saying that and you married. So it's over, but you still cheating or whatever. Nicole started to talk about how maybe Vanessa had the right idea, not committing to just one person. I said, don't you do that. I said, don't you do that. Cause she over here gonna end up finding out she pregnant or something. But yeah, let me scratch this out. Hold on. I wasn't supposed to talk about them folks yet. Tomas and Eva, he told her how he didn't think that she was so malicious, and she got offended. She tried to leave. He was like, no, stay with me. They got to talking, and she was saying how, she regrets what she did, and she tried to stop it and stuff like that. And she didn't know what to do. She was torn because on one hand, you got her mama, and she wanted to do right by her. And on the other hand, she cared about Ted and Nicole. All three of them mean a lot to her. That's what she said. And he was just encouraging excuse me, he was just encouraging her and stuff like that. And that's when he put his hand on hers, she put her hand on his, and Kat seen it. She seen it, she ran out. But somehow I think that's going to equate to, I could be mistaken there, I think that's going to equate to, oh, she pushing up on him or whatever, versus him being into her just like she into him. Because she's supposed to be talking to Dana on next week's episode, talking about some. So it's right. That Eve was the one that ran Laura out the road. I said, no, she did. She's the crazy person. Then the crazy lady done showed up in the cold house. I knew when she told Vanessa to leave that door open for the package delivery or whatever. I said, here come the crazy lady. And in she walked. Then I wonder what she about to say. Cause she said something about she need to talk to her. She got something to say. Is she finna get ready to see? Is she finna get ready to say something about Eva? Is that where Kat gonna get the idea that Laura was ran off the road by Eva? Cause at this point, I think we know that the lady would do anything. Cause she still think Ted coming to her. That's why she over here having all these dreams and stuff. Let's see. We talked about Thomas and Eva. Ted and Martin. Martin finds his hotel, like I said. He ends up going in there and confronting him, asking, who is he and why he did this and that, and just confronting him or whatever. And he was getting angry, and I said, yeah, he got a temper. He definitely has a temper. But yeah, Ted was trying to talk to him and just appeal to him, but he wasn't trying to hear none of that. But I feel like he gonna eventually come around though. But yeah, let me see. What happened after? I think after Martin left, that's when Danny came. That's when Danny came and showed up to the hotel. I said they just give out anybody. They just tell anybody where these folks stand, don't they? Or is this one of his regular places? But yeah, she came at the end of the episode and she was telling him about himself and saying Nicole may not do it, but I'm gonna do it for her or whatever, and just calling him scumbag and all this other stuff. So they're gonna wait to show that on next week's episode, y'all. Naomi and Ashley was talking about everything that was going on with Ted and Nicole. Naomi was saying or questioning, she was doubtful about love because of everything that went down between them. And Ashley was telling her not to think that way. Smitty and Bill, we already talked about that. Ted and Danny, we talked about that. Nicole and Dana, we basically talked about that too. She just showed up at the end of the episode. I think she said she had something to say. I don't know. Yeah, I think she said she had something to say, y'all. But I think that's it. That's all. Let me make sure. I wrote down Derek and Ashley, but they weren't talking about nothing. They said something about they knew that they would be there, so they both had an off day or something like that, and they knew they would be there, so that's why they was meeting up with them. But that's all that happened. Let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, do have a great rest of the day. Be safe and a great weekend.